Okay, you're now live, and I'm still not seeing Commissioner Meeks.
Okay, thank you, Annette. In that case, we'll call this administrative committee meeting to order. And Jennifer, if you would please call the roll.
Curran,
I am present via Zoom, Winter Haven, Florida.
Meeks is absent, Volrath,
Present from Coloma Township.
and Werfel.
Present via Zoom from Buchanan.
Buchanan. All right, Mr. Chairman, you have 3 present, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of February the 18th, 2021. Someone like to make a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Jennifer, would you please call the roll?
Curran,
Yes.
Meeks is absent, Volrath,
Yes.
Werfel.
Yes.
You have 3 yeas.
Thank you. Next item, administrator's update. Brian Doucette, you're up.
Folks, sorry about that. I was clicking too many buttons at once. To the commissioners, I'm going to pull up a quick screen share. I want something to just make the group aware of. Okay, so this is Senate Bill 207, and put simply, this would be the Open Meetings Act amendment that is going to be pretty important to any of the local units of government within Berrien County that are currently using Zoom or some other platform for virtual attendance. And the reason this is important is with the recent changes to Department of Health and Human Services guidelines, public meetings are now being allowed, but we are still looking at a total cap of 25 people, and we're still required to have a minimum of 6-foot social distancing. And so what that means for Berrien County is there's no great way to do in-person meetings. And that's at a minimum, we'd be looking at some type of hybrid model where we have appointed or elected officials in one room with the public observing via YouTube or some other streaming platform. So SB 207 is currently being considered, and this is one that would allow the current Open Meetings Act amendment that we've been using to justify our virtual meetings. This would allow it to be extended through June 30. As it is current, as the OMA is currently written, the virtual allowance is going to end at the end of the month or very early in April. So this is something that is fast approaching. I've been discussing it with our Emergency Operations Committee for the last couple of weeks as we try to figure out what is the best course of action for the Board of Commissioners, knowing that what the board does will likely, some variation of that will likely be embraced by your local units of governments, your cities, townships, villages, and school districts. So this is something that I want the admin committee to be very aware of. And if this group is interested, putting together some type of statement to Senator Losada might make some sense to encourage her support for SB 207 and possibly trying to rally additional support at the state level for its consideration. I'll stop the screen share. Mr. Chair, any questions on that topic?
Any questions from the committee members?
Nope.
Nope, doesn't look like there's any questions, Brian. Should be good there. Thank you. Okay, Annette, next item on the agenda are some resolutions. Just go ahead and go down through the list if you would, please.
Sure, will do. So 174 is to renew an agreement with Riverwood for the multi-systemic therapy program. This is a renewal. We've been doing this for quite a few years here. I asked the courts why was it delayed, as it actually goes into effect on January 1. They've been going back and forth about some money situations with them. So they come to an agreement. This agreement that you're approving is basically the same with the exceptions of the dates that have been updated, and the funding that's in there, the $96,000, that is in the agreement as well. And so we're just looking to move this resolution forward that would authorize the chair to sign this agreement with Riverwood.
Okay, there's no objection from the committee members. We'll move that one forward.
And then I'm going to touch on 175 and 176. I'm going to do these two together because they're basically sort of connected. So these are both from the road department, and as this has now become part of our protocol to approve these things, the first one, 175, is to authorize the placement of signage of no through trucks on a section of oh, sorry, that's the one that we're rescinding, isn't it? Sorry. No, that is the right one. Okay, sorry. So this is the no through truck signs to be put up. It has to be approved by the Board of Commissioners to do that. It's basically authorizing a traffic control order, and it has to do with the deterioration of the roadways to try to make that last longer as long as we can. And we have reached out to the township, and they are in approval of that and support of that request. And then the 176 is one where we did have one that had been in place, I think I wrote in here 1998. That is no longer necessary, and so this would be to rescind that previous traffic control order that was done, and then in the essence remove those signs from that section of York Avenue from Napier to Empire.
Okay, there are no objections from the committee members. We will move those two resolutions forward. And the last one, the speed study.
So the Board of Commissioners approved a policy to how do we move speed studies forward. This is in accordance with that policy. This comes to you first. This one is a little bit different because actually the board had already approved a speed study for one section of Maiden Lane. It came to that it was supposed to be set for a different speed limit than it currently was. However, because of the miles that are in that section, Michigan State Police, who we also work with when we do these traffic control studies, suggested that perhaps we just take a look at Maiden Lane as a whole. The other part of Maiden Lane is in a different township. So we do have a resolution in here from St. Joseph Township asking us to do a speed study on that section of Maiden Lane, which is in their township. They understand that it could very well be that this could come back stating we're going to go higher, we're going to go lower, we're going to stay the same. They are aware of that possibility. That is right in the resolution. We build it in every time so there's no questions. And so this would be to authorize that speed study to happen. The road department will not move forward with any results from this until after it comes back to the Board of Commissioners and we have your go ahead to make any changes.
Okay, if there are no objections from the committee members, we will move that resolution forward as well. Is that all you have?
Jim?
Yes, go ahead, Annette.
Sorry, so I think I forgot one off of the list for the agenda. And so let me just throw this out there, and if you're not okay with this, we'll hold off. But so it's resolution 181, and basically what that is that we have an agreement with Van Buren County, who is the fiduciary for the Emergency Management Homeland Security Region 5, and for the funding. The resolution to accept that agreement is already in place, and the funds actually go through August 31st of 2021. Well, we were just notified that based on that resolution and in this funding, that we could get awarded $5,391 to put a equipment rack on our hazmat truck. The match is 10%, so the county would have to pay for $5.99. That is in the budget for hazmat. They could cover that match. So this would just be accepting that funding. The board would authorize accepting the funding and authorize the funding of the 10% match. Again, if you'd rather I send you this resolution before you say you're good to go with it, I can do that. But this came about yesterday as we were given the award notice from them.
Okay. Personally, I don't have a problem with moving forward resolutions to accept funding. So I will open it up to the other committee members. If there are any objections, please speak up.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, Julie, anything?
Nope, I'm good. And Annette, you'll send us a copy of that resolution though, so we have it.
Absolutely, I will do that.
Perfect.
Okay, Annette, go ahead and forward resolution ending in 181 to us. We'll move that forward for you. Do you have anything else?
Thank you. No, only other one on there was your full board resolution.
Okay, thank you, Annette. The last item on the agenda here is the BOC request to the governor. Julie, you wanna start us out?
I can. Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Freeling and I worked on this over the past week. We have put together information. The data came from a lot of what Arthur had shared with us in the Board of Commissioners meeting. Though that is the data points. Some of it actually is some of the numbers are larger now than they were here, like how many vaccines we've done. We're now, as a county, we're now over 40,000. You know, so, and I'm not even sure what our number is as a state on how many we're over, but so actually some of these numbers are a little bit conservative, if you will, because we're in better shape than these even show. This was to go before Nikki and Brian. Maybe you can give us an update on how Nikki felt about this and if there was any changes that came from her.
Yeah, to the group, I was able to get some feedback, and Nikki just had a lot of questions on the layout of the resolution. I'll just walk you through some of the feedback. Under the whereas state, local, tribal, and territorial officials are best positioned, just a question of best positioned for what. It then moves on to acceptable to who. Public health interventions frequently have mitigation strategies, and that was under the next whereas. Sorry about that. Under the whereas, mitigation strategies should be feasible, practicable, and acceptable. Health department was just concerned about who would be finding mitigation actions acceptable. Continuing down, the next comment was related to, under the whereas, the goal of community mitigation in areas with local COVID-19 transmissions. Feedback I got was that it implies that if our cases are low, mitigation should be backed off. Concerns that it might not be that simple, particularly if there are variants with increased transmissibility circulating. I can keep going if the group wants me to. Just a few more comments. These are general, but the resolution references under a whereas the epidemic is declining within our region with 100 new cases per 1 million. And it's noted by the health department. Sorry, I've got to open this up. That number was very high category of the original My Start plan, and we currently don't align to the My Start plan. And then just two more comments, folks. Under the now therefore be it resolved, we urge our governor, MDHHS, and state leaders to return to the clear regionalized metrics. Health department just noted that My Safe Start metrics or regionalized metrics, just looking for clarification. And then the last comment was just as it relates to local control, do we want that aligned to state guidelines or federal guidelines? Just noting that at times they can be more or less restrictive. And folks, I apologize. I just got this, and I'm working to get through all of this feedback. Commissioner Werfel, that was the feedback that I was able to collect.
Great. Is there any other commissioners that had feedback? I know Don had sent us some, but I wasn't sure what he was looking to do with that.
Yeah, Jim, based on Nikki's concerns, I have concerns if Nikki's not happy with it and she's not, she's got too many concerns with this thing. It's either, they need to rewrite it based on her concerns, or I can't support it like this if our health department does not.
Okay, fully
Well,
understand.
And I also, I mean, we a lot of these things, a couple of these things are redundant. We've done that in the previous resolutions, and just sending one up there every 1 or 2 weeks, I don't think is just to continue, throwing crap up against the wall ain't gonna, hoping one's gonna stick proposition.
And as I understand it, just by us carrying on the conversation at our board meetings, that the folks in Lansing, they get all the newspaper publications throughout the state, and they'll see that we are still talking about this, even though if we don't have a resolution. Julie, I think my biggest issue with this this resolution right now are a lot of the concerns that that Brian pointed out. But the resolution is basically saying we're going to take the responsibility off from the state and put it onto us locally, and I'm not sure that's a good idea. What happens if we get the authority on a regional level, and then the numbers and everything starts to spike? How is the state going to respond to our county by doing this? So I guess overall, Julie, I wouldn't do it. I'll leave it up to you, but I wouldn't do it.
Okay, so I believe that what I heard for your concerns from Nikki were some clarifications of, who are these officials? And to Jim, to your concerns, it's, it's asking for regional input, but to get back to the regional metrics, the My Safe Start plan, which is the governor's original plan. It is, let's go back so that we all have the clarification of what the metrics are and what the plan is, because a lot of these metrics came off of that website, the state's website for our region, which is the 9 counties. That's not just Berrien County. It's asking her to go back to the regional approach instead of one size fits all for the entire state.
Okay, and as I understand it, that was adopted by the state in May and is not really applicable now because of the way things have evolved. So I guess I wouldn't reference something that isn't applicable in the resolution.
They're still updating it. So they're still using it. They're just not using it to drive any metrics.
Okay, I assume from your response, you want to concede or move forward with this, or no?
Well, I'd like to make the changes if we need to rewrite, if we need to do some of those things, because certainly, I mean, like Brian said, we just got the information in from the health department, and we do want to take those into consideration, obviously, because that's why we sent it over to her, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our area, for Berrien County. So if we need to rewrite some of it or parts of it so that it's more clear, so that it isn't confusing on, okay, now it's just going to be local people that would be able to make the decisions. And because I don't think that's what any of us are asking for, but we do want to move back to a more regional approach so that we're not being treated in the west side of the state the same as the large cases they might be seeing on the east side of the state, or no cases in the UP, but we have cases, so there are differences amongst the regions, and we're just asking to go back to that kind of approach is what this is geared towards asking. But if we need to go back and rewrite it and talk about it again in a week or get it back out, I have no issues with that. I mean, we do need to have it right, but I think we need to continue to say something and not rely on, they're watching our commission meetings because they have a lot of counties to watch all the meetings for.
Okay. Since this is going to be a board resolution and not a committee resolution, Brian, would you please send out at least the last draft to all the commissioners
Yeah.
and see what their feedback is and kind of go from there?
Can we also get, Brian, all of the exact wording or what Nikki would like to see changed in it? That information on there?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Well, Brian, if I may intercede, I do not want to put Nikki in the middle of this resolution. So I guess let's send it out to the other commissioners. Let's get some of their feedback first. And then we'll judge from their feedback as to what and how we take this back to Nikki. Because I do not want to put her in the middle of this discussion because it's not entirely on her. This is a Board of Commissioners resolution that's going to come from us. Obviously, having her input into it would be helpful, but I don't want to say, well, this resolution came from our health department and Nikki Britton. I don't want to do that. That's because that's not the case.
Can't do that.
Okay, so I've got one commissioner asking me to send out comments from health. I've got the committee chair saying don't. Would it make sense for myself and Annette to take a run at trying to make the edits that have been suggested at the staff level and send it out to this committee to see those changes before we try to engage the full board?
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what all the edits are going to be. Because I see a lot of edits, but it's not my resolution. I didn't have a hand in writing this, but if you and Annette want to take a shot at it and do the edits and do a rewrite and send it back to this committee first, I'm okay with that.
Julie, would that process work well for you?
That's fine.
Okay, let me take a swing at this, see what I can do to clean up the concerns coming from the staff level. I'll get it back out to admin committee. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you all about was scheduling a follow-up date. I've got some other items for admin to take a look at. So I'll work to get this ready for the group at an upcoming meeting.
How soon did you anticipate having another admin committee meeting?
Well, I need this group to come back together, and the earliest I can do it with John Axe, our bonding attorney, is the 31st. Now, I anticipate that this group will want to meet again to discuss this resolution, and we could do that. Just looking out at the calendar, I think that if the group is willing to reconnect, we could do that on Thursday of next week. I would have to clear with PHS that they're okay with not meeting, and we would just look to have admin as an early morning meeting, potentially at 8 a.m. Would that work for the group?
If I can just add that we do have a really, really full bid opening thing next week for finance committee. So 8 o'clock would probably be the only time, maybe get it short if we can for maybe half an hour, possibly 45 minutes.
Okay, you're looking at early, like an 8 a.m. on Thursday, the 18th.
Yeah, I think that's fine. If you're gonna do it on Thursday morning, we just gotta make sure we have enough room for finance to get through. If you're gonna have like 15 bids to open.
Okay. I have a couple of other scheduled items on that day. Brian, could we do it on the 25th?
If you push to the week of the 22nd, that opens wide open. So we could be looking at Wednesday, the 24th, either before or after the COVID update, or Thursday, the 25th.
Okay, Dave and Julie, what's your pleasure?
Yeah.
Wednesday, the 24th would be okay for me. You're thinking at noon again then, Brian?
Yeah, I've got just the 11 o'clock COVID update currently scheduled. So admin could go at 9:30, or we can meet up at noon. Either would be fine.
I could do noon, but I got to be done by 1, as long as, you know.
I'll
So
just
you
interject. We do
prefer
have Public Works at 9:30 that morning.
Oh, thanks, Jennifer.
And that one's a super fast one. It wouldn't be any more than 15, 20 minutes.
To confuse matters more, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong date. It's the 18th. They do not have any, they don't have any bid openings. So that is a possibility in that morning, because right now we wouldn't have a reason to have finance. It's the 25th. I apologize, that finance is really booked.
Yeah, I think part of the issue in that is I have things scheduled on Thursday, the 18th. And you know, it's already a full day. I don't want to add more to it. So that's why the 24th or 25th, either one. And we could do the 24th if it'd work out better for Dave to do a 9 o'clock, or did you say the 24th was already taken?
On the 24th, we have Public Works at 9:30, but it would be finished by 10.
Brian, do you anticipate the admin meeting lasting longer than an hour? If not, we could schedule it for 10.
Yeah, if I would just make it a one agenda item, have the resolution ready for the committee's review. Have it just as a one agenda item. I would think that an hour is going to be sufficient.
Okay, Julie, how does 10 a.m. on March the 24th work for you?
Should be fine.
I'm good.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Pencil it in then, Brian. We'll do Wednesday, March 24th at 10 for admin, and then we'll do our COVID at 11.
Okay, and just as a follow-up, I'm going to book you all to meet on the 24th at 10, but then also on the 31st, I'll be asking this group to meet at noon, and that'll be a sit down with John Axe to just review 911 funding options. So I'll be sending you a couple of meeting requests.
Okay, that's Wednesday, the 31st at what time?
At noon.
Okay, how does that sound for the other committee members? 31st at noon, good?
Got it in. Set.
Good.
Okay, I've got mine penciled in as well. Anything else, Brian?
No, sir.
Anything else, Annette?
You have public comments.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Jennifer, did you have anything else?
I do not.
Okay, while we're waiting for public comment, what does this committee think about putting together a resolution to send to the governor regarding extending the Open Meetings Act? Brian pointed out Senate Bill 207 would extend it to June 30th. How do the committee members feel is the best way to proceed to support them passing Senate Bill 207? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Resolution?
So either that or just contacting our legislators and our senator and letting them know how we feel. Right now, we can't meet, and I don't think we have the facilities to meet together. And until they raise the limit on how many people we can have in a room and how close we can sit together, we're going to have to continue this. And And it's not been good for our board. I don't think. It's been a year apart and it's not helping us any. And I'd be in favor of doing a resolution too. I mean, just to open things up where, you know, if the numbers suggest that we can have more people in a room than 25, then otherwise they're going to have to extend the Zoom meetings and until we can.
Well, at least if we could get them to extend it through to June 30th, we could possibly even come up with a hybrid so that we can try to meet in person as best we can. And either presentations could be via Zoom, all the commissioners could be present, that type of thing. It would at least give us some flexibility. So I think you're right, Dave. And I would be totally in favor of a resolution to that effect. Julie, how do you feel?
That'd be good.
Yeah, I would be good with that. I would want to understand a little bit more of what the Senate bill has in it, and happy to look that up and research that as well. But yeah, having a resolution, a hybrid model of some sort would be good so that we start getting back into the habit of being together and, you know, doing those things. But yet we can't have everybody in one room yet, not with all the distancing and all of that. That just isn't going to work. We're going to need a large facility for that.
Okay, thank you. And if I know our county administrator, he's already sent you a link to Senate Bill 2.
Probably.
Brian's pretty good about that, so
Yes, he is.
I'm sure we have a link by now, right, Brian?
Yeah, he had one handy earlier, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, then, then, you know, Brian, I hate to lay too much stuff in your lap, but I know you'll pass it to Annette, so it'll end up in her lap. Could you work on some a sample resolution or a proposed resolution to support Senate Bill 207 and get it back to the admin committee? And we could possibly act on that at our next meeting or before.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is for the meeting on the 24th, we're just going to try and knock out 2 resolutions. One being the edited version of Commissioner Werfel's suggested resolution. The second being a resolution just requesting the timely passage of SB 207.
Okay, that sounds good, Brian. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And I'll thank Annette in advance. Annette, do you have any public comments for us?
I do, and as I'm going there to get those, doing resolutions supporting House bills or Senate bills is something that you have done in past practice. So we do have a little bit of a formatted resolution that we can use for that. So that shouldn't be that difficult. All right.
If anyone has anything for the committee while Annette is looking for public comment, I think we can entertain them now. You got anything?
You do. Kelsey Schoenwitz, SCHOENWITZ, that was for Jennifer, of Stevensville. Why did you fire Jason and why are you looking for an engineering firm to oversee the road department? Isn't that exactly what he was doing? Is it so you can micromanage the day-to-day operations? Sounds like this is a common style of leadership these days. I will ask one more time for any other public comments.
Okay, while we're waiting, anything from the committee? Any topics? Anything new?
Go blue.
Dave?
Go blue.
Go blue.
Big Ten tournament this week.
That's right. Then we get ready for March Madness.
Amen. You ready? I'm good.
Okay, I believe you're good. I do not see any other public comments. You have about 6 watching right now.
Okay, very good. If there's nothing else from public comment, anything else from you, Brian?
No, sir.
Jennifer, anything from you?
We gotta wait till May before you come back?
Okay, if there's nothing else before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.
All right.